I'm fascinated at the granularity of the account, where you're looking at very specific timing and rather idiosyncratic features of social intercourse, in this case, child maturation and their psychological development, to draw big conclusions about that macro. I'm impressed, man. I mean, I'm just saying, wow. You said reform social media. You said harden the institutions, and you said teach the youth of the next generation in a way that allows them to not be driven as crazy as the current generation are having been driven. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, let's do the kids briefly, and then let's focus maybe the rest of our time on the institutions, especially the institution of the university, because that's where I think you and I have the most expertise. That's what Heterodox Academy is all about. So briefly on the kid front. So, in the Coddling the American Mind, Greg and I analyze it in the book. We have like 6 different threads that all came together to create the explosions around 2014, 2015. And the 2 big ones, I think, for Gen Z are that they were denied a normal human childhood, and therefore they came out stunted because free play is what kids need. And the other is too early exposure to getting on social media too early, which defines Gen Z. Gen Z is defined as born in 1997 or later, and they are different because the millennials didn't get social media until college, but Gen Z, if you're born in 1997, you got Facebook or Instagram in middle school, and that, I believe, really affected their brain development, their social development. But the thing that doesn't get talked about as much is the free play, childhood free play. The normal human childhood is the adults are doing things, and the kids are around, and they're playing with each other, and they're helping out, they're copying, they're pretending to do the adult things. It's play in mixed age groups. This is very important. The kids are playing in mixed age groups, also interacting with adults. And this is how you learn to become an adult. And this is how you learn to have conflicts. You have conflicts, but you work them out. So kids need thousands and thousands of conflicts. They need lots of experience. But what we did in America was we said, you and I grew up during a crime wave. There was a big crime wave in the 70s and 80s, and it started in the 60s. And so there was actually danger of crime, but we still played outside. Kids went outside, 2nd, 3rd grade, you're out with your friends, biking around your town, you can buy candy, whatever, you're out on your own. You learn to function, you learn autonomy, you learn to be a person. And in the 90s, the crime wave ends, but yet we freak out about child abduction. And we say, oh, you can't go outside anymore because you'll be abducted. You have to stay home and do, math preparation to get into college or whatever it is. So kids were deprived of play beginning in the 90s and especially in 2000s. Wait, you're wrinkling your brow. You're not agreeing with me?
Oh, no. I'm fascinated at the granularity of the account, where you're looking at very specific timing and, rather idiosyncratic features of social intercourse. In this case, child maturation and their psychological development, to draw big conclusions about that macro. I'm impressed, man. I mean, I'm just saying, wow.
Okay,
that's
got
really
it.
Good social science.
Okay, yeah, because the mystery you're trying to solve is, why is it that this world that you and I love, these universities, I don't know what you felt about them, but I loved being a professor. And it was amazing until 2012, 2013. And then, like, out of nowhere, all this weird stuff started happening that made it very difficult for us to do our jobs. And so that was my puzzle. Why 2014, 2015? Why did everything blow up then? It wasn't a gradual thing. It was sudden. It was like a light switch turned on. And it was the arrival of Gen Z, which was shaped by social media, combined with other innovations in social media. So when you say about solutions, what are we going to do about this? I co-founded an organization with Lenore Skenazy, who wrote Free Range Kids. It's called Let Grow. And so anyone out there, if you have kids under the age of, let's say, 16, please go to letgrow.org. And we give all kinds of tools and ideas for what you can do to give your kid a more free-range childhood. That's what kids need to develop basic human competences. That's what we've blocked kids from getting. So free play is the biggest single thing that kids need. And we've gotten laws passed in 4 states now to make it legal to play outside. In most of the country, it's ambiguous. If your kid is caught in a park without an adult, what happens? If some busybody says, oh, there are kids in the park, they call 911. Before you know it, they come to the parent's house. They say, child neglect. Why was your kid unsupervised? So that's crazy. That was never the case before about the early 2000s. It's only after 2000 that we start hearing stories of parents who are arrested, or at least their kids are put into custody because the kids were caught outside. Like, So kids have to be outside unsupervised. So that's a big piece of it. Because otherwise they come to college and what happens? Someone tells a joke, they overhear a joke in the cafeteria and they freak out about it and they report it because they don't have experience of being offended without getting the person punished by an adult. So this isn't going to turn around until we give childhood back to kids. That's the first thing.
Okay.
All right. And then the social media piece I've been writing a lot about. I think there is no way to make Instagram and other platforms safe for kids under 16. And by platforms, obviously, Zoom, Roblox, there are all kinds of ways that kids can interact with each other. That's great. I have no objection to that. Multiplayer video games, they're interacting. What I'm concerned about, what it turns out the data shows, is it's when kids, and especially girls, are posting and waiting for comments from others. That's the kind of platform that's harmful to kids. It's the posting and waiting for strangers or even friends to comment. Why did he like her picture but not my picture? So even though a lot of these girls are spending 4 or 5 hours a day on the platform, when they're not on the platform, they're thinking about it. And they're thinking about, I see them in Washington Square Park here, all the posing, it's all for Instagram. So much time spent posing, editing, thinking, commenting. So it's not healthy for kids going through puberty, especially girls, to be entirely focused on what people are saying about sexy photos of them. That's really warping. There's no way to make that safe. So I think those are some big things that have to change.
Let me interrupt just with a very, very quick question. Do you see cross-national variation in the way in which these effects are playing out, such that are there things particular about American social demography, or social structure, class structure, or whatnot, that are amplifying the deleterious effects of social media that you've outlined?
Yes. So here's the pattern, which is a little mysterious, but I think I figured out what might be happening. The pattern is US, Canada, and UK are identical. No difference. Exact same mental health plots, in all of them. The girls start getting depressed and anxious in 2012, 2013. The boys follow soon after. In all of them, it's the exact same patterns. If people go to my webpage, jonathanhaidt.com/social media, I've got links to the main Google Docs where I collect the evidence. You can see the graphs. You can see the summaries. So US, UK, Canada are identical. No difference. And the crazy stuff that happened on campus, the canceling of speakers, the freaking out, in Canada, yoga was said to be cultural appropriation, had to be shut down. All that stuff happens in the Anglosphere at the same time. I visited Australia and New Zealand. Same thing, only 2 or 3 years later. They were delayed and not quite as intense. So the Anglosphere is identical. The Germanic world is not like us. So you don't see these problems in Switzerland, Austria, Germany, Denmark, Norway, Sweden. All the Scandinavian countries are not like us because I think it's because they have not changed the way they raise kids. In those countries, they have forest schools, so the kids will have school outside. They learn to make fires when they're 6 years old, as human kids have been doing for hundreds of thousands of years. So the Germanic cultures still give their kids childhood, and I think that means that even though their kids, of course, are on screens a lot, they develop normal brains, normal social skills. So I don't think social media has caused as much damage in those countries. But in the Anglosphere, it has. And this is very interesting, something I'm just beginning to appreciate. The online world has no national borders, but it does have linguistic borders. So I need to study, I'm just learning about Tumblr, whether Tumblr affected girls in all the English-speaking countries, but not the French or German countries. I don't know if that's true, but that's my hypothesis that I'm going to try to study.